Hello, my name is Leroy Blevins. Welcome to Mysteries and Histories. In this episode here, what I want to do is talk a little bit more about the Robert Kennedy assassination and show some more stuff that I was looking over and what I figured out. Now, a lot of people on the net has done a lot of research on a lot of good research on Robert Kennedy assassination. A lot of it makes sense. Okay, so when I was reading over some of their research and stuff like that, and then getting a little bit here, a little bit there, where I can understand a lot more into the case. Just like when I always say, when you point out something, if you put things back in perspective, you put everything back in its location when it occurred, you get more answers. Now, when I start piecing everything back together, okay, yeah, there was two assassins there that day. I had to say this. There had at least be about two assassins there that day. And the more I think about it, and the more I get into it and stuff like that, like I said, when you first start investigating something, you can write this down, but then when you start looking more into it, you start willing away this or willing away that. And the key fact of the Robert Kennedy assassination was who was close to him and who was on his right side. Well, looking over yesterday and today, I actually found out there was somebody on his right side, and it was a security guard named Thane Eugene Caesar. Now, when I was hearing, going over some of his testimonies and stuff, and hearing him talk and say this and say that, he did not like the Kennedys. Okay, to me, he did because the way he sounded, because the Kennedys was for the African American people and everything else, and basically he sounded like he was racist. Now, as I point out, when there's a doorway open, people take that chance. When that door gets open for them, they run through that door. And I think that's what happened here in Robert Kennedy assassination. When I started looking at things and I putting everything back in their location and perspective, looking at this, okay, the crime scene, Robert Kennedy was over here laying down on the ground. The other people were shot was over here. Sirhan was over here, and then he was slapped against this table right here when they was trying to get the revolver from him, and I was like, wait a minute, okay, now I'm, looking at this from different views and different angles. And I could sit there see some things happening, some things not. So Sirhan did fire. Sirhan was there to assassinate Robert Kennedy. Don't get me wrong. But I think he failed. Because when he started taking his shots, okay, when he started taking his shots, he'd be firing over in this location here, in this location here, where the other people was wounded, and they was shot from the front, where the other people was wounded in this location here, plus in the door frame, bullet holes, okay, which is going an angle coming from this direction. And even when security guards and all that, or the security people there, slammed Sirhan to the table, he can still fire his revolver and the shots will still be in this way. But Robert Kennedy is going off to this direction now. He's being pulled back in this direction when we look at this view. Now let's look at this view right here. Now I'm going to zoom in right here. And I'll move it over here a little bit. As you see, gun fired here. This is where Sirhan was standing. And the shots, if you look at this angle of the shots, it's right over in this location here where the people at. And if they slam him against, like I said, when he's first taking the shots, he's striking these people over here. Okay? And even in the door frame. Then when they slam him down here, he's still aiming his revolver going this way. Because remember, they got him slammed down this way. So he's actually shooting these people here. So Sirhan did not shoot Kennedy. He shot these people over here in the doorway and everything else. Now, Kennedy was shot 4 times. Now, people says it was only 3 times. 3 times Robert Kennedy was shot. Okay, the bullets entered his body and stuff, and then also exit. But there was one shot that went through his coat and struck the ceiling. Okay, so this bullet actually missed him and just went through his coat and struck the ceiling. So that applies for the hole in the ceiling. Now let's look at this for a moment. If Sirhan took 7 of the shots. But you got 5 people and 2 shots in the doorway there. That's 7 shots. And then we have Kennedy, being shot 4 times. So that's a total of 11 shots. Now, a lot of people said they heard 10 or 11 shots. Now, some people out there went out as far as 14 shots, or 13 shots or 12 shots. But most of the people, is talking about anywhere from 10 to 11 shots. So let's look at that. That actually fits, the story fits. Some of the eyewitness accounts fit the story about 11 shots, because 4 to Kennedy, and then 7 to 5 shots to the other people, and 2 to the door frame. So that's 7. 4 shots to Kennedy. That's a total of 11 shots. Now, even if he fired all 8 shots, okay, that'll put it at that 12 mark. Also, so right in between there, it's matching eyewitness accounts. But as I pointed out here, if you follow that angle of him standing here taking the shots, okay, it's lining up where all the other people were shot from the front. And then when they slam him against this table here and he's still firing, again, still being the same line of fire. But Robert Kennedy was being pulled back. Okay, there was a guy, like I said, a security guard. Caesar had Kennedy by his right elbow, as he claimed. He was pulling him back. Okay, to me, this will be the guy that took the shots to Robert Kennedy. Because when you look at the other evidence, like I'm going to point up here, okay, as you notice, as you see right here, which this is kind of gruesome here, I should say, put a warning on this. You can still see the blood dripping right here from behind Kennedy's ear right here. You see that blood dripping still there. But you notice that Kennedy's fist is grabbed. It's grasped like this. And you also notice there's a tie laying on the floor, which I'll shrink this so you can see. There's a tie laying on the floor. And right there is where it's crimped. Now, Kennedy pulled this tie off of the security guard. Why? You see what I'm saying? This is what really, to me, when I put everything back in place, okay, like I said, images can tell you exactly what took place that day when you piece everything back. Okay, here's a man that was prejudiced, right here, which I'll pull up his image here. He's prejudiced. Okay, he didn't like the Kennedys whatsoever. Then we have an assassin comes in play, which is Sirhan, comes in play. And this is his doorway. This is his doorway to be able to get rid of the Kennedys. Him coming in there, taking his shots, that gave him an opportunity to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to take this opportunity because they're going to blame it on him. I'm going to take the shots, Kennedy, because I don't like them. Because when you study and you listen to the stories and you study in the surroundings and stuff like that, and you'll see him here. Here's Caesar walking around here in the crowd after Robert Kennedy's in the back, laying on the ground stuff. Here is Caesar right now walking around. You see his tie is gone. Tie is gone. Now, have they checked his revolver? Because remember, the doctor's report says the shots to the other people matches his Sirhan's revolver, but the shots to Kennedy did not match his revolver. And remember, Caesar was behind Kennedy. He was on Kennedy's right side. He had Kennedy by his right hand. By his right arm. Now, let's look at this for a moment. He's on his right side here, on his right arm. Now, remember, when Kennedy was on the ground, people and eyewitnesses did say that Caesar had his revolver drawn. His revolver was drawn, period. So he grabs Kennedy. He pulls him back. He sees the opportunity. He's going to pull out his revolver. He's going to fire upward, which gives it the 80-degree angle, and he's close to Kennedy. So when Kennedy's got his arm back like this, okay, the first shot, when it struck him from underneath his armpit there, he grabs a hold of his necktie, and he pulls it, because it's a reaction. He grabs a hold of his necktie like that, and he pulls it off of him because he's still being shot, and then he pulls him down to the ground and stuff. He lets him go. He takes off. This gentleman right here, I forgot his name, grabs Kennedy, trying to hold him in place. As you see, the necktie is right there. See how necktie is crumbled right there like that? So basically, he had his hand behind his tie, which is like here. So he's grabbing a hold of him. He's grabbing a hold of the security guard because he's being shot upward. And with a security guard has his right arm here, he can pull out his revolver. Right here is where he's going to be right underneath his armpits where he was shot. And right up here, all he's got to do is bring his arm up a little bit more. So he's looking at an opportunity here. Here's an assassin, Sirhan, comes into play, starts taking shots there. He don't like the Kennedys. He don't want Kennedy to win. He knew Kennedy was going to win because he won California. He was on Chicago. So he figures, well, hey, I'm going to get rid of him myself. I'm going to shoot Kennedy. He's going to get the blame for it. Sirhan's going to get the blame for it because he was there taking shots and everybody's tackling him. You see what I'm saying? He did take his shots. He shot the other people. He shot the door frame, as I point out here. He shot the other people in the door frame. He didn't take a shot to Kennedy. Kennedy was shot close range from behind on his right side, on one person on his right side and close by him at that time that had a weapon on him, and the weapon was drawn, was Caesar. And when you look at the evidence, like I said, when you pull up this kind of evidence, okay, and you zoom in, and you see Robert Kennedy's fist is clenched, excuse me, and you see the tie laying next to him where it was grabbed onto. You can see it was grabbed onto. He pulled it off, but then the security guard goes ahead and leaves and just walks away like this. And you see his tie's gone. That's who, to me, Robert Kennedy assassination was a racial killing on his part. This assassin here, he was out to kill Kennedy for reasons, who knows. But when Robert Kennedy was assassinated and killed by this gentleman right here, it was a racial killing. Now, like I said, this is my intake and my opinion on this case. There's your two assassins right here. But he did not take no shots to Robert Kennedy. He took the shots to Robert Kennedy. He didn't want Kennedy to be in office because he was racist. Because I heard an interview where he's talking, and he's sitting there saying he never liked the Kennedys because they're all for, well, he didn't say African American, he said for the black people, but they're African Americans. He says that's what they're for. That's all their Kennedys has ever been for, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, he was racist. So with him coming in to assassinate Robert Kennedy, that left the doorway open for him to say, hey, I can go ahead and do it myself real quick. So it's that split second. It's like, I got my opportunity real quick. Takes out his revolver, takes his shots. Kennedy falls to the ground after he grabs him by his necktie. That's why his necktie is laying right behind. This guy's necktie is laying next to Robert Kennedy. He gets up and he walks away because he feels like, hey, I'm not going to get blamed for it. They're going to blame him for this assassin. And there you go. Plus, if they want people to find out that it was a racial killing, that's another thing that people didn't want to go on back then as well, as letting them know there was a racial killing. That's why Robert Kennedy was shot. But when you put one and one together, and you put two and two together, and you put everything back in its perspective, and you start viewing over this, and you start, you know, going by the angles and the accounts that people talks about, and everything that was going on at that time, okay, yeah, Sirhan did take his shots. Again, I'm going to repeat this one more time. Sirhan did take his shots, but he's the one who shot the other people. They were shot from the front. Robert Kennedy was shot from behind and from the right side. And there was only one person on his right side, and right behind him was Caesar. He did have his revolver pulled at the time. And he did have Kennedy by his right arm, and that's why he grabbed a hold of his tie. And we see the tie where? On Robert Kennedy's right side. So basically, his first shot to Kennedy was around this location here. when he was bringing him back. So when he was shooting Kennedy, when we put, like I said, when we put everything back together in this perspective, he first shot Kennedy here, and then he shot him here and here, and there you go. I just want to bring this video out, show people more information out on cover and stuff like that. You can leave your opinion in the comments down below. Always don't forget that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. And always in the description down below, you find a site where you can order my book, Evidence of Conspiracy, the only book you ever need in JFK assassination. Thank you, and you have a pleasant day.